Hello and welcome to Expats Everywhere. If you could tell us your name, where you're from, and a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm from a town called Oban in Scotland. I'm 29 and I currently live in Rome in Italy as
Oh,
an English teacher.
awesome. What other countries outside of Italy and the UK have you worked in?
I haven't worked in any. This
Okay,
Italy's the first country I've worked in outside of the UK.
nice. Well, that's good because we're here to talk about Rome. So, what is it like working in Rome?
Working here, I really enjoy it. I love being able to leave my apartment and see, like on my way to work, I can see things like the Pantheon, the Coliseum, the Trevi Fountain, all of these historical sites. And then, yeah, when I go to work, I'm meeting all these different people, like from different jobs. There are lawyers, there are movie producers, there are students that are studying any kind of topic that you can think of. And yeah, I just really enjoy working here and being able to help people learn English.
Is that just like a pinch me moment when you're walking by these historical sites every day? Or do you get used to it?
In my first year, every time I saw like the Coliseum, for example, I would always get my phone out and take a photo. And even now, 3 years, like nearly 3 years later, I still do the same. If I'm on a bus, I'm just so mesmerized thinking, that's the Coliseum, like right there. It's quite strange, but I you do get used to it, but at the same time, I still get kind of like, oh my God moments. Like I'm
Yeah.
walking the Pantheon, I'm walking past the Trevi Fountain, which people come from all over the world just to see these things, and I get to see them near enough every day.
Oh, that's incredible. What kinds of jobs are available for English speaking expats in particular in Rome?
The main ones are English speaking jobs, so the likes of English teachers, translators, for example. Especially if you're fluent in Italian, you can do any job. I mean, I know English speaking lawyers, doctors, engineers. I know quite a lot, but I mean, it's kind of difficult to say because I mainly know fellow English teachers
Right.
and translators. But I mean, there are plenty of jobs out there. Whether it be in like the British Embassy and stuff like that.
Sure.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, cool. What does a typical day look like for you at your job?
So if I start in the morning at 9 o'clock, I get to my school for around 8:30, and I have to check my schedule, see what students I have for the day, and organize lessons. Some students need to revise certain grammar points, so I have to prepare materials. And then when my lessons start, it depends what kind of lesson it is, because in my school we have three types of lessons. We have conversation, like one on one. We have workshop, which is myself and maybe three students. We read an article about a certain topic. We learn new vocabulary. There are discussion questions where we talk about that specific topic.
Hmm.
And then we have the lab, which is computers, and they revise grammar, they do listening exercises. If they're studying for exams, they do practice listening exams or practice reading exams. Yeah, so I mean, a typical day for me can be three conversations, two workshops, two lab lessons, and again, some of the students are regular where they're there twice a week, 3 days a week, but then there are certain students who are only once a week.
Okay, so what type of school is this? Is it a public school, a charter school, an
It's
academy,
language school.
a private language school? Okay.
Yeah, so people come to us specifically just to learn English, or if they're preparing for like a Cambridge exam or IELTS or TOEFL, they come to us and we help them to get the best score that they can get.
Okay, and then what are the age ranges that you work with?
So we have two parts to the school. We
Hmm.
have Grupo Bimbi, which is like anyone from the very young age up until maybe 5, 6 years old. And then we have the second side, which is the side I work in. So we have children from as young as 7 up until I think our oldest student's in his 80s.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
a quite a wide age range that we teach. So we teach absolutely anyone.
I love a good lifelong learner. That's awesome.
He's learning to speak English with his grandson. It's the most adorable reason
Beautiful.
ever. I
Yeah,
know, so adorable.
that's awesome. Well, let's talk about the financial side of living there. How much can you expect to earn working either in a school or even as an au pair in Italy?
As an au pair, okay, to begin with, you're looking at minimum 250 euros a month. And that's for maybe 5 hours a day for 5 days a week.
Hmm.
It's not known as a salary, it's called pocket money
Okay.
because you're technically working as such. But as an English teacher, I earn anything between 1,000 and 1,300 euros a month. It all depends if you're salaried or if you are paid by the hour, which I am.
Hmm.
Um, but there are some schools that obviously pay more. There are some private international schools here that pay like a lot more. Or there's private language schools like mine that pay like minimum wage here for an English teacher.
Okay. Well, do you think that, let's say 1,000, do you think that 1,000 euros per month is enough money? And what kind of lifestyle can you live?
It depends if you are living in like an apartment on your own in the city center. I mean, I live in a shared apartment with two other girls,
Okay.
and I pay around between 400 and 500 euros a month. And I don't have, that includes bills, so I don't have to worry about money going aside for electricity, water, gas, etc. If you're living in your own apartment, you can look to pay minimum 800 a month plus bills on top.
Mhm.
So if you're making 1,000 euros a month, it's definitely not, from my point of view, it's not doable to live in an apartment on your own. You would have to do what I do, which is live in a shared apartment with other people.
Sure. Okay. And then the type of lifestyle is frugal or a moderate lifestyle?
Um, I can do what I want to do as such. I don't splash the cash out here, there, everywhere because it's Rome. It's quite expensive.
Sure.
But there are some areas which are cheaper than others. Obviously, if you're in the center near the Coliseum or the Trevi or the Pantheon, they are more expensive areas. But if you kind of go into the outer areas, so I live in an area called Furio Camillo. So it's not very central, but it's on the main metro line.
Good.
And there's so much to do around here, and like bars, restaurants, shops. Can't really do much at the moment,
Mm.
but um, I mean, I live very comfortably, but I'm not living a lavish lifestyle, but I'm not living frugally either, like very cheaply or anything.
Cool. That's great. Well, I don't know if you're making 1,000, I don't know how much you can save, but can you save? Can you save on 1,000 euros a month with half of your salary going to rent?
I can save maybe if I'm being very strict with myself, I
Hmm.
can save 200 a month.
Wow, good on you. That's awesome.
And that's if I'm being very, very strict. If
Okay.
I'm being very liberal and just doing what I want, it's maybe 50 a month. But I always make sure that I have something in my savings to fall back on in case of emergencies.
Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I know a bit of your background and how you started out as an au pair and then
Mhm.
transitioned into teaching. So the question that we normally ask is about startup cost. But since you didn't really have those startup costs being an au pair, you live with the family and they kind of cover all that stuff, right? What are some of those transitional costs that you experienced as you moved away from a family kind of supporting your initial beginnings into now living more on your own or with roommates?
Well, first of all, you have to save for, I mean, different landlords are all different here.
Hmm.
They can make you save for a 1 month deposit plus 1 month rent, 2 months deposit plus 2 months rent, and it all depends on which area you live in. how many people live there, the size of the apartment, etc. So I had to save for 1 month's deposit, 1 month's rent, and then I also wanted to save for and like a month's rent as a backup for emergencies.
Okay.
So all in all, I saved before I came here around 1,500 euros.
Yeah, that's really reasonable. Okay.
Yeah. So it gave me enough money for the rent, the deposit, and then if I had to buy anything, but it came furnished, so I was quite lucky I didn't have to buy anything that way. If obviously I went into my own place, I would have had to have bought the bed, sofa,
Hmm.
every like different furniture, everything. But I was very lucky that my room was furnished, which a lot of rooms in Rome are if you're going into like a shared apartment.
Hmm. Okay. Well, how should someone pack to move there, and what's the weather like?
It depends which period you're moving here. So I moved here in the spring, but it was still quite cold. So I packed a mixture of winter and summer clothes. Um, but I mainly used my summer clothes more than my winter clothes because it was quite cold. But then after a few weeks, it was just hot weather.
Mm.
So my winter clothes were just stored in the wardrobe. So yeah, it just depends what period that you're going to live here. But I would always say bring a really thick raincoat because when it rains, it pours here.
Mm.
Like it's torrential. Um, but yeah, I mean, a mixture of clothing. But yeah, obviously, the one thing that I would recommend is a really thick raincoat for when it does have its rainstorms.
Okay, pro tip, bring a thick raincoat to Rome. All right, awesome.
Not during summer, obviously.
Yeah.
During summer, like obviously it's illegal to walk around with like for men to walk around with no top on because and the main rule is you just have to sweat it out. Just deal with it. However, during winter, during autumn, during spring, bring a really, really thick raincoat. But during summer, bikinis, swim shorts, everything.
Awesome. Nice. Are there any things that you can't find that you recommend people bring? Like you can find all of the foods that you'd like from Scotland. I don't know if you're a haggis fan, but
I love haggis.
yeah.
No, they don't do haggis here. If I wanted to order haggis, it would come in a tin, and I am I am too proud of a Scotswoman to buy haggis in a tin. I will not. So unfortunately, I have to do without haggis when I'm here. I mean, there are a lot of different. They do have chocolate here and crisps and sweets, but regarding like medication as well, like medication here is so expensive.
Oh, okay.
Um, in the UK, in a supermarket, we can go and buy ibuprofen or paracetamol for maximum 40 pence. Here, it's like €7 a packet.
Really?
The price really shoots up, yeah.
Whoa.
That's from my point of view, obviously, like with just ibuprofen and paracetamol.
Hmm.
Other medications that you need a prescription for, you can buy here sometimes that you don't need a prescription for them, but the prices are quite expensive.
Okay, and so I assume that you stock up on that stuff when you go back to
Yeah.
the UK. Cool.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah. Every time I'm in a supermarket, 2 packets in the trolley,
Nice.
every time.
All right, well, let's change gears. We might be entering a contentious topic here, but how safe is it there, and do you feel safe on a personal level?
Personally, yes, I feel safe.
Hmm.
There has been times where, I mean, I've people have attempted like pickpocketing and stuff on the metro. You've just got to kind of keep your wits about you, as easy as that sounds. When you're walking around the city during the day, I mean, around the main sites like the Coliseum and the Pantheon, for example, there are like soldiers there with rifles.
Mm.
But I think they came in around 2015, 2016, and they're just there for public protection. They make sure that traffic's going the way it's going, that there's no one doing what they're not supposed to be doing.
Sure.
Um, there's the police, there's the carabinieri that wander around the streets, and I mean, I feel relatively safe being a non-fluent speaker living here. I feel pretty safe living
Okay.
here. especially walking around at night. There are some areas you wouldn't walk around at night. But my area here, which is not central, I feel really safe here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, let's go with a more lighthearted topic now and talk about how do you meet people and what do you do for fun?
Okay, so when I was an au pair, there are different groups on Facebook, like au pair in Rome, au pair in Italy type thing.
Hmm.
And we would just meet different girls that were au pairs in Rome that didn't know anyone. So I became friends with a few people that way. There's also some groups for expats living in Rome, expats in Italy, and we can write anything there like, is anyone free tomorrow? Would you like to meet up for coffee? And it's an easy way to meet people that way.
Hmm.
And obviously, if you meet up with one person and they have friends, you get to know their friends and become like friends with them. And working in the school, especially, I've met so many people there, like students and other teachers that I've become friends with. So it's a nice way to meet people that you wouldn't normally expect to meet in a way.
Yeah, awesome. And then what do you guys go do? Do you go to restaurants and bars, concerts? We know that, okay, this is during COVID
Yeah.
time, guys, so this is a little abnormal, but just in general, do you do that type of stuff? Sports events?
Yeah. So if we're talking about before COVID, we would normally go to bars or restaurants for aperitivo.
Hmm.
So we would have a cocktail or three, um, obviously. We would then be given like a small plate of food, like finger food, which is normally complimentary when you order a drink. So we would do that, and then we would go to different bars. Sometimes we would go on weekend trips to different cities. I mean, Rome's very well connected by trains, by
Yeah,
buses. So we could go to the likes of Tivoli, to Napoli, even to Pisa. Just it's only maximum 2 or 3 hours on a train, so it was really easy to do that. And even like on Sundays, the first Sunday of the month, the public museums used to be free for everybody.
right.
The Coliseum, for example, you could see for free. The museum at Villa Borghese, at Piazza Venezia, you could go right to the very, very top and look over Via del Corso. So you could just do lots of things for free on the first Sunday of every month. But now, during COVID times, it's very difficult with the restrictions and the bar closures at 6 p.m. So at the moment, it's a walk around the city before we have to go home,
Hmm.
going for a coffee in the afternoon, or going for breakfast, or meeting for lunch. But there are a lot of things to do here, like a lot of things to do. It's just at this exact moment, we can't really do a lot.
Got it. Well,
Yeah.
how's the healthcare and would you feel comfortable getting a procedure done there?
In my opinion, the healthcare is probably one of the best that I've ever experienced. When I first arrived in Italy, 2 weeks after I arrived, I broke my ankle.
Mm.
Um, I slipped down the metro steps at Piazza di Spagna and I had to go to hospital. And I went to one of the main hospitals in the center and I was an au pair at the time, so I had medical insurance. And straight away I had my x-ray done. It was bandaged. It was like the cast was on. I had my painkillers. So I was in and out of the hospital maybe within 3 hours. I know it sounds a long time, but when you're in the main city center, that's a
Hmm.
very short time. And then recently, I actually went back to the hospital to get tested for COVID, and apart from the long waiting line, the test took 10 seconds. Um, the healthcare here, I have never had any complaints about it. I mean, I would feel quite safe to have a procedure done if I needed a procedure done. But
Yeah,
thankfully, touch wood, I've never had one done and I don't need one anytime soon.
good stuff. We asked this question to all of our guests, and I think I already know the answer, but do you think that Rome, Italy is a good travel hub? Why or why not?
Yes, I do, because There are so many different nationalities here and different, you know, different people from all over the world. And if I didn't move here, I would not have the group of friends or the community that I know. I would never have met those people. And as I mentioned, you can travel anywhere around the world from here, or even within Italy. There's so many different places to go. But for meeting people in Rome and to live here, I cannot recommend it enough. The
Awesome.
language barrier is a bit difficult,
Mm.
but slowly but surely, I mean, a lot of people do speak English here, so it's very comfortable. They're very accommodating people as well.
Good. Wrapping up, what are the pros and cons of living in Rome, Italy?
The pros, you get to see one of the seven wonders of the world every day. You get to see the Italian culture, like taste the Italian food, speak to Italian people, meet Italian people, just meet anyone around the world. Cons, it can be very expensive, depending on the area you live in. If you live right in the center, or the north is more expensive than the south. So depending on the area you live in, the cost of living, it can be quite expensive. Um, and obviously, I mean, in every city in the world, there are going to be pickpocketers. And also, like the language barrier. Yes, a lot of people know English. It's obviously the universal language, but it is polite to speak Italian. But obviously, if you don't know the language, it can be a bit difficult,
Sure.
especially if you're living on the outskirts of Rome, where the people they didn't really learn English in school. They learned from a book. They didn't learn how to pronounce words or to listen to it. So that could be a con as well. It's the language barrier.
Okay. Rachel, thank you so much for spending time with Expats Everywhere and telling us about your expat life in Rome, Italy.
No worries at all. Thank you.